Toby from Heavyweight MMA today with Ben Johnston, a man who's had a great Muay Thai career, now kicked off into MMA, had 3 fights in the last 2 years. Looking like a big thing. Just had a big fight with Emile Jerries at Eternal 77. As we discussed before, man, it was a big fight, a little bit rougher than looked like you would have hoped, looked like you might have liked to, played the game a little bit longer, got to use your skills. But yeah, it is what it is, right?
Yeah, no, that's right. It did start faster than I had kind of anticipated. I was sort of thinking that it might go the full 15 minutes. I sort of had prepared for the full 15 minutes, and just get my reads and take my time and don't be in a rush. It is just such a different game to Muay Thai. Because in Muay Thai, you got the bigger gloves, and you can the range encourages you to be much closer together. Then the scoring rule set encourages you to be much closer together. You watch one championship now. I've been so passionate about MMA the last couple of years. You watch one championship now, and you're just like, oh man, it's a whole different sport. So for me, I thought, well, I did get clipped in my first MMA fight on Eternal. I got clipped with this random spinning back fist just because I was coming in too hot, So I made my adjustments from there and going, all right, just take your time. You don't have to knock him out in the first minute. And I used to kind of do that all the time in Muay Thai. I'd finish fights so early. So I thought, just see what pops up. Don't be in a rush. Take your time. And, but in that cage, it's a 7 meter cage, I believe. Or maybe a touch bigger, but it's not like in UFC. Those cages are so big, you've got so much room to move. But when you've got two guys that are both 6'4", 2 steps in either direction, you're on a wall. So you can't utilise your longest out of range as often because you can't keep escaping backwards. There's definitely some adjustments being made around all that sort of striking coming from Muay Thai to MMA. But I didn't. I definitely wasn't thinking about the finish in the first couple of minutes. But when it presents itself, you got to take it, eh?
That's it, man. So you've been doing quite a bit of training with Israel Adesanya, probably a few of the other CKB lads. I guess I'm imagining Carlos Ulberg, a few of those boys. Training in a bigger cage for that sort of fight or in a more open area. Is that something you kind of look forward to in the future, like fighting more of a technical battle where you can use the space more around you?
I would definitely love to experience that. I'm actually working with Chelsea Hackett, who's fighting in the PFL in 3 weeks or something like that. And I got a cage over here. It's not as big as that. It's like I think it's 6 meter or 7 meter post to post or something like that. So we only do a little bit of work in there, but most of it is done out here on the floor space because she's 50 something kilo. And going to be fighting in a massive cage. So she'll just, if we only did it in a 6 meter cage, she's not going to utilise the footwork that she'd be using on the night, So it's just definitely trying to find that balance of training to get the right sort of reps and the right footwork for the right kind of space,
Man, speaking of hectic fights, you just said about ONE FC. Last month I was in Thailand. I went to Lumpini and they had a Friday night fights for ONE FC. Those guys are trying to smash each other. It's Muay Thai, but it's Muay Thai with small gloves. I'm guessing that there's a strong bonus for a knockout win, right? Versus just your normal fight purse, because those guys are really going after each other like crazy.
Yeah, you got to. I think something that's worth remembering, bro, is the Muay Thai scoring system, and I'm not sure how one championship does it. But when you're talking about Lumpini and Rajasthan Stadium, the scoring system rewards the guy who doesn't get knocked off his frame. So it's like if I throw a kick and you check it, even though you checked it, if I knock you off balance with that kick just a little bit, that's still I'm rewarded for that, even though you blocked the kick. So these guys just stand there. And it's like, don't move, just get stuck in. And the range is here. And there's no movement, there's no shifting because they don't need to worry about takedowns. They'll just stand there, So that is worth remembering. And that's part of the reason why it's all focused on power. You know, Muay Thai is power as opposed to like Taekwondo. It doesn't matter. I could break your rib with a kick, or I can just flick you with the foot. Still worth the same amount of points. You know.
Yep.
So yeah.
And man, you had a pretty extensive Muay Thai career. You took a world title at one point in WBC light heavyweight world title. Trained a bit extensively in Thailand. Is that something you enjoyed, man? Going over there, a different culture, like learning the art.
Yeah, I did. I didn't spend like, you know, some guys spend years, months and years over there. I never did anything like that. I just, you know, popped over for a couple of weeks at a time here and there where I could. It's pretty hard to get away for long periods of time, bro. With the gym, you know, we got 1,000 members over here, and you know, we got fight teams in Muay Thai, boxing, and MMA, and we got a jiu-jitsu squad that's always competing too. So you know, it is quite hard to get away for long periods of time. So no, I do enjoy it. Anytime I get to go away and get some different looks, I love it.
You obviously have done Thai boxing for some time. I heard you mention you also started off in BJJ, and the old style you mentioned of MMA was kind of you do BJJ, you do Muay Thai, and you bang them together, and there you are, MMA fighter. Obviously, things have changed. It's a bit more evolved from that. What can you say about like switching over, man, from Muay Thai and BJJ into MMA? Like, what have you had to work on the most?
It's so funny you say that. I was watching a fight last night. I can't remember the other guy's name, but it was Charles Oliveira versus, it was like the Ultimate Fighter winner or something like that. And you're watching it, it just looks ancient. The guy, Charlie Olives was fighting, is doing like, you just never see that anymore. He's just like rocking back and forth like an actual Thai boxer, and then you know, pulling guard. You know, it's like what is going on? You just don't see it. So no, man, like. But before I started training, I thought that was a recipe. You got your striking, got your ground, Bob Girani, you know. But no, it's definitely been a process of learning to wrestle, and then even then, man, so much of wrestling doesn't apply. Like there's people standing over, like hinged forward at the hips with their heads down, ready to get kneed. You know, if you took that stance, that doesn't apply. So even there's a process of like, sweet, I just got to wrestle. So you're doing all this wrestling, and you start to go, I don't think this stance is going to work, or this takedown is going to work, or you know. In same as, you know, you can't just do judo because there's all these things about judo going to work, like, you know, the use of the gi grips, and people like they're sort of reaching out and trying to foot sweep each other. Like it's there's so much of every sport that doesn't apply. So you know, it's just a process of figuring out which parts do.
And then apart from that, you also got to find out what works for your body type and your style as well, right? Like because everyone's kind of particular, their body type, right? Lengths of limbs and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, for sure, bro. You know, like and then also it's like I want to be learning about these techniques and strategies and all that. Well, I shouldn't say strategies, but just I want to learn the techniques of wrestling and learn the techniques of judo and whatever. But I don't necessarily want to use them because at the end of the day, I'm going to be trying to keep them as long as possible because I'm a striker, you know. And even though like my grappling is getting better, I'm still much better at striking than my grappling. Even though that gap is starting to bridge, like why take the fight into an area that's more equal when I can just stick to my own, you know,
so man, you're kind of in the same predicament as someone like Izzy or Brad or these guys that are expert strikers, man, like world level strikers that move over. Is the answer to kind of keep that on the side because it's good enough and then just smash the wrestling and that, or is it the fact that you just work or you continue to improve your striking to, you know, keep that as your main edge because that's the thing that you're better than everyone at? Like it's a difficult balance, right?
Yeah, like to be honest, man, if I was to say which part I enjoy the most, I enjoy the grappling. I love training jiu-jitsu. I love training wrestling. I love trying to figure all that out. So yeah, I mean, ideally, man, one day I'm just an all-rounder. You know, you look at Volk, like he's you wouldn't say he's best in the world at any of his one facets, but when you throw them all together, he's it's undeniable, you know, because it's like, oh, this guy's good at striking, cool, I'll take it to the ground. Oh, this guy's good on the ground, cool, well, I'll make it a striking match, you know. And he's like, he's good enough at those other areas to nullify their game and then play into his other areas where he's also great. And that, to me, I'd love to eventually have that well-rounded of a skill set, you know.
Well, that's the old martial arts adage of being like water, right? Like, you know, filling whatever gap you need to fill, right? Reacting whatever way you need to react, and that's the true mark of the best sort of type of MMA fighter these days, right?
Yeah, exactly, bro. You know, it's hard work. Like,
so much knowledge to get.
You know, I started doing this only like MMA only a few years ago. Some of these guys have been doing it since they were like they're 20 now, and they started when they were 6.
Yeah.
Like, it's just there's so much skill gap to fill. But you know, I think with the right strategy, and as long as you're training the right things, and like we were saying before, there's so much stuff that you can train that doesn't help. You know, like, as long as I'm disregarding that, and I'd like to learn that stuff one day. You know, I would like to learn, you know, gi, like the jiu-jitsu gi, but I'll do that when I'm like 40, you know, and not while I've still got, you know, when at the moment the time needs to be spent on MMA, because that's where the present goals lie, you know. Yeah,
man. You have to do specific training, right? And that just falls just outside of the specific training, slightly not relevant for now, but at least gi is something you can do later.
Absolutely, bro. Yeah, always. There's always be something. Not enough days in the year and not enough years in the life to do it all, eh?
That's the thing, man. I was thinking too. So are you 32 years old? Is that right? 32, man. Like you said, sometimes by 32, people have had, you know, 10 amateur fights, another 10 MMA fights plus. Do you feel like it puts you at a disadvantage to kind of achieve your goals, or you think you're there because of your striking history?
No, like, I don't know. I wouldn't say disadvantage. I feel all right. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, like, I sort of look at it this way, that I feel at some point, I don't know, call it, say it's 30 years old, at some year in your life, your physical attributes will start to diminish. But with the amount of knowledge there is to be gained, it's like this, you know. So if you sort of draw a line like an average, it's still going up. And I'm sure I'm probably not as fast or as strong or as sharp or as like reactive as I was when I was 22. But I don't notice it. So, all good. I still feel like I'm getting better in every facet, really. Because even like we were talking about before, the tactics of Muay Thai to MMA are just completely different. So it's redirecting those. I feel like my striking for MMA is getting better for sure. My striking for Muay Thai is not getting better. Put me in a Muay Thai fight, I'm probably not going to win anymore, because I'm adapting to this other game like completely. But yeah, you know, I definitely feel like it's improving for what I wanted to. You know?
Yeah, man. I think you're around your peak, bro. Like your peak physical prowess. So it's you want to get in there, smash the Australian scene, and then see what you can do at some of the bigger organisations, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
man. You just mentioned then about like all the things to learn and that, and I heard you talk about some of the complexities that you sort of became aware of training with Eugene and the CKB guys. Can you talk on that a bit about, like, you know, the difference between some of the striking you've done in the past and the training you've done in the past compared to when you come upon someone that really pays attention to those details and that?
I think one of the biggest things, like, got on the pads of Eugene after I'd been to CKB a few times, and the first thing that he noticed was, like, every punch I threw was hard, you know. He's like, oh, the big fella wants to come at me, you know, like, like it says on the pad, it's just a 1-2, and it's like every single 1-2 was as hard as I could throw it. So even just trying to get away from that and pick your moments a little bit better, for sure, you know. And I can't just, like, and you can't forget, you know, my coaches at home too, like Dan Bell from Iron Fist Gym. He's been with me since the very beginning. And he's always helping me, like, refine and change. And we go over, and I'll go catch up with him once a week over at Iron Fist, and I'll come with something that I've been working on and doing, and he has his sort of methods and ideas on how it should be done, and we sort of go back and forward, and then we end up with this thing where we both are happy with it at the end, you know. And end up with this really cool product because it's like two people thinking about it. And then I've got ideas from Eugene that he suggests as well, and things I've learned over there. So you've got like three like heads that are all just very passionate about fighting and striking and not just going through the motions anymore. We're all trying to be better at what we're doing, and we're all thinking about it critically. And then we come up with this other thing, you know. It's, man, just extremely grateful that I've got access to those two guys, you know.
Well, that's kind of what you look at Volk, talking about how good Volk is. He's kind of in that situation, right? Like, he gets advice from Eugene. He's trained with Eugene, but his chief trainer obviously is Joe Lopez. So, you know, they get that meeting of the minds and get the joint knowledge, everyone getting together and kind of game planning as well, right? So that's kind of a benefit that you'll get.
Yeah, no, absolutely, you know. Yeah. And, like it is cool that having guys that are not super egotistical and they're, you know what I mean. Like, some trainers are a little bit funny like that, you know. But they're great guys. And
do you cop a bit of shit over there, man? Like, over in New Zealand, being one of the Aussies over there, maybe you and Cam Ralston probably copped a bit of shit being an Aussie, right?
Oh yeah. Brand, but there's a few of us now, bro. You know.
Yeah.
There's a few of us over there, so we don't worry, we give it back.
You know, Cam. I sent Cam a rash shirt that had a couple of Australian flags, and Eugene got it and cut the Australian flags out of it.
Yeah, I was there for that.
Oh, you were there. Shit.
Yeah,
I was devastated, bro. I'm devastated, bro. That's my hard-earned money there that paid for that, and Eugene's cutting the sleeves out for a joke. Anyway, it is what it is. Bro, talking about the different gyms, man, I wanted to talk about the Fight Center quickly. Can you tell us a bit about your gym and, what about it? Who's there? Like, what's the sort of premise behind your gym?
Well, yeah, I mean, at the moment we've got a heap of guys that are just keen, you know. Like, we sort of started our MMA program, like started training guys. I think it was like about a year ago, maybe a little bit less. Before then, it was just kind of like me, Diego, and Nick Kepu, and those guys. It still is us three. You know, we train sort of 4 hours a day mostly. Nick's got a little injury at the moment, so he's taken a bit of time off. And Chelsea Hackett comes over and trains with us as well. And a few other guys pop down. We got some guys from CMBT that pop down and get some wrestling with us. Darcy Vendy, the kid's he's a brute, you know. He's so technical, he's so smart. So to have him pop down and give him a hand and get some work in with him, it's been unreal. But yeah, so we got a good little group of guys that we just put the work in, and sort of our whole life is revolving around the training, and we sort of fit everything else in where we can around that, And they're all also employed at the gym, so that we're all always here. Just make the dream work, keep it alive, and till the wheels fall off, have a crack, So.
That's it, man. And what would you say if anyone's interested in coming along, man? It's pretty intimidating for people to go to any type of martial arts gym, really. Even if it's in a Taekwondo class, it feels intimidating for your average Joe to go. What would you say about people interested in dropping in?
Mate, just come down, eh? There's nothing you can say other than, like, the first day is the hardest part, like coming in and.
That's it. Got to get your foot in the door. You're not going to start, right?
Bro, I remember, like, this has happened multiple times where you'll watch someone walk through the car park and, I'll be, like, standing having a chat at the desk. I'm not usually at the desk, but I'll be standing there, like, talking to someone, and I'll see someone walk in and you can see the tension in the shoulders, and they come in like, hey, bro, and they're like, just melt straight away, like, oh, I thought I was going to come in and like have some sort of chest beating competition. You can just see it, like guys that like got some tatties around here or whatever, and they're like so tense, like and full of tension and anxiety. And they walk in, you're like, "Sup, man? How are you?" They're like, "Oh, yeah, I'm good." So and then you get all sorts down here. Like I said, we've got 1,000 members, so there's all sorts. Yeah, and I like it that way.
1,000 members, that's nice, man. Nice work.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bro, so obviously you're doing pretty well in these first couple of fights. What's your plan, bro, ongoing? Like, where do you want to be in the future or the rest of this year and then on going forward?
Bro, I'll just Uncle Des. Going forward, obviously, everyone wants to be in the UFC. That's the goal for all of us. If you're a professional fighter and you're not trying to do that, man, go do something that doesn't have such high stakes. Do a different sport. Sure. So no, that's the goal, bro. 100%. Look, I'll just have a crack, and wherever I end up, if it's short of that, or if it's there, or if it's a couple fights in, or if it's with a world title, I'll just give it everything, and wherever I end up is I know I gave it my best, and I'll be happy with that, but obviously, man, you got to aim for the highest of highs.
Do you have a specific timeline or anything you'd like to work on, man? Like, is there any sort of goal, or are you just going to take fight by fight?
No, I mean, like at the end of the day, that's out of my control, isn't it? I just got to keep on winning. So I just have to focus on the next fight and try and win that, and then, it's not up to me when I get in the UFC. If it was up to me, brother, I'd be in there today.
That's true.
So when that, I just try and keep winning, and when that call comes, I'll be ready.
Nice, man, nice. Hey, obviously there's a show coming up in Sydney before UFC 293. It's kind of a good time to get to perform, man. Is that something you're trying to get on?
Yeah, of course, mate. Yeah. Like I don't make those decisions, I am a big believer in the fighter not making those decisions. Like there's always, went through my Muay Thai career, Dan Bell, my Muay Thai coach, he always managed me, and a lot of MMA guys, I've noticed, it was really foreign to me when I first came over, that a lot of guys book their own fights, and it was just kind of baffled me, because I don't think a fighter should make that decision. So for my guys, they don't. If they train under me, I make that decision for them. And then for me, I was doing that, but Eugene's looking after that for me now. So if he says do it, I'll do it. And if he says don't do it, I won't do it. I don't think I should be thinking about that. I just worry about what I have to do.
Yeah, no, it's if you've got a good manager, a good coach, it's fair. If they're not so good, maybe it doesn't work. But yeah, in general, at least they can help protect you and make sure you pass on the right direction, right?
Sure, man. But there's definitely luck involved. Like if someone just walks into a gym for their first night, they don't know if the guy's a good manager or not.
Yeah.
But as time goes on, I guess you got to look around and see who else is in the room and see who they're being matched with, and go, man, is this guy thinking about my best interests? Is he even thinking about it at all? Yeah, and if not, then whatever. Hopefully people can read between the lines there, No, I think a coach has to care, absolutely, or else they're not a coach,
Man, before we go, I just want to ask you quickly, like obviously spending a bit of time sparring with Izzy, what's it like, bro? From the perspective of a sparring partner, how does it feel to spar with Israel Adesanya, the world champ?
Pretty broad question, hey, the guy's a freak. He's always, I should say, he's never panicked. That to me is like his biggest strength, is he's always okay up here, and he looks for the challenges. You see that in his fights, like he's always looking for the challenge. He's not trying to get the longest title defenses streak in history by fighting all the easy guys. he's always going after who seems to be the one that's the biggest threat, and he runs towards it. So and that's just kind of the guy he is. He's always challenging himself, and he's and I don't know whether this is a product of like just him or whether it's the training, because I don't know. I haven't known Izzy for very long. It's only been somewhat of a recent thing. I only started going to city kickboxing within the last 2 years. So I don't know how that was developed, but good chance it's just from the training. Like Eugene's pretty big on the mental toughness aspect, and you do enough fight camps out of that gym, and you're going to be pretty used to adversity. So, but yeah, no, he's a great guy, man. Really special guy.
Which other lads did you get time to work with while you were training with for Izzy's camp?
Oh man, I've been going there back and forth for a couple of years now. So
yeah,
like all of them really. Navajo Sterling, Carlos Ulberg, Cam Johnston, Brogan. Man, like all of them. If they're a bigger guy, around anything upwards of 80 kilos, Blood Diamond.
Yeah.
Kevin Jusay, like they've just got a stack of guys on the heavy end, and yeah, I've got to.
So how do you any like things that really stand out amongst those guys that sort of take you by surprise or that are really outstanding when you talk about Carlos? I guess the three: Carlos, Navajo, Cam. I'm pretty familiar with those guys. Anything jumps to mind with these guys, like trouble you have to deal with those guys?
Yeah, I mean, like obviously they all have the city kickboxing style, so they're hard to get in on it, and like that was really something that I realised like early on was my distancing was off. Like I'm trying to be here, and they're trying to be. I'm trying to be here, and they're trying to be. So you kind of end up like doing this, So that was definitely something I had to figure out. And no, I think like just around something that you notice about them is they're all just really good guys, and they all care about each other a lot. So that was definitely cool, really cool to see.
Nice, man. They say Carlos is the heaviest. I think they said heaviest kicker and puncher. I think I heard different people say in the gym. Did you get to taste any of that power? How did it feel?
Yeah, I think the first time I sparred with him, and he's not trying to kill you in the gym. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the first time I sparred with him, when you don't know someone, they're probably a little bit more heightened. I nearly got KO'd.
Shit. Check hook or something different?
No, head kick.
Fuck.
Like, bro, my range is wrong. Like, so anyway, he wrapped one up, and I was a bit like, whoa. So that was a nice little wake up call. But yeah, I mean, these are, they're not trying to kill each other in sparring. They're trying to give each other the right amount of pressure to make each other better without hurting each other. And
that's it. Just when a new guy comes in to give him a bit of a test, we'll test out his chin.
Who knows, man? Maybe I was coming a little too hot,
Yeah.
And you go, slow me up. You go, you don't know me, mother. Boom, Yeah.
Fair enough, bro. All right, man. I don't want to take up too much of your time. Thanks for having a chat, and looking forward to seeing you in future, man. Hopefully on Eternal in Sydney. I'd love to see you there, and we'll see how we go.
Thank you, bro. No worries. Good talking to you.